It all started with a moment that should have been celebratory: a red carpet, flashing cameras, and a rising star standing shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood royalty. But instead of gratitude, what the world saw was tension. Rachel Zegler, once hailed as the future of film, appeared dismissive and cold toward the very man who had launched her career, Steven Spielberg. What happened on live TV stunned viewers, but what happened behind the scenes is what's now rocking the industry. Spielberg, known for his calm, composed presence in Hollywood, allegedly issued a silent but powerful warning that has left Rachel Zegler's career dangling by a thread. According to multiple insiders, Spielberg didn't just walk away in disappointment. He's allegedly been warning producers, directors, and studio heads about Rachel, urging them to reconsider projects tied to her name. And when Spielberg starts whispering, Hollywood listens. What began as a strained collaboration on the set of West Side Story has now turned into a full-scale blacklist campaign. Behind the glitz and glam, sources say Spielberg's inner circle was deeply disturbed by Rachel's behavior, from unprofessional conduct on set to public comments that painted Spielberg in a negative light. The live TV moment that set this all ablaze, an award show where Rachel was asked about her breakthrough and failed to mention Spielberg entirely. Not once. Instead, she redirected praise to herself and her generation, downplaying the director who had handpicked her from obscurity. Cameras caught Spielberg's reaction: stoic, polite, but visibly stunned. That was the last straw. This wasn't just a passive oversight. To Spielberg, it was personal. The man who had entrusted her with a starring role in his passion project felt publicly slighted. And in an industry built on loyalty and reputation, that kind of disrespect doesn't go unnoticed. Behind closed doors, the reaction was immediate. People close to Spielberg described him as deeply hurt, and that's putting it mildly. The whispers began quietly. Spielberg allegedly began reaching out to trusted colleagues, letting them know that Rachel Zegler was not the collaborative star she once appeared to be. What was once considered a glowing endorsement had now turned into a cautionary tale. The same directors who were excited to work with her started pulling back. Studio heads who had penciled her in as a next-generation icon began scrubbing her name from casting lists. And it wasn't just about one TV moment, it was about a pattern. During the production of West Side Story, insiders claimed that Rachel became increasingly difficult to work with. She allegedly questioned Spielberg's direction, challenged creative decisions, and alienated seasoned crew members. At first, Spielberg chalked it up to youth and inexperience. He reportedly gave her the benefit of the doubt, hoping she'd grow into the role. But as filming continued, the challenges mounted, and by the time the movie hit the press circuit, Rachel's attitude had allegedly reached new levels of entitlement. During interviews, Rachel seemed more focused on promoting her personal worldview than honoring the film or its legacy. She made headlines for comments that downplayed the original material and even mocked aspects of her own character. What might have seemed like a bold, modern take came off as dismissive and arrogant to fans of the source material. And to Spielberg, who had poured his heart into revitalizing the classic, it was seen as a slap in the face. Things only escalated when Rachel was announced as the lead for Disney's live-action Snow White. Critics quickly took issue with her interviews, where she openly criticized the original 1937 animated film, mocked the idea of Prince Charming, and dismissed long-standing Disney themes as outdated. Her tone, combined with the studio's modernized script, ignited backlash across the internet. Longtime Disney fans felt betrayed. Social media erupted with memes, parodies, and reaction videos tearing apart Rachel's commentary. But the problem wasn't just public opinion, it was professional reputation. Industry insiders began to murmur about Rachel's increasingly controversial public image. Spielberg, who had remained silent during the early waves of criticism, allegedly decided enough was enough. According to people familiar with the situation, Spielberg communicated to several industry veterans that he would no longer be working with Rachel under any circumstances. One source described it as a quiet but firm line in the sand. And Spielberg's silence spoke volumes. When a filmmaker with his track record removes his support, it sends a ripple effect across Hollywood. Studios began reevaluating Rachel's involvement in future projects. Casting directors who once viewed her as a surefire bet began hesitating. Producers reported suddenly unavailable projects. Auditions dried up. Some scripts that had been written with her in mind were allegedly shelved or rewritten for other actresses. Behind the scenes, Rachel's team reportedly went into panic mode. PR consultants were brought in, crisis management meetings were scheduled, social media strategies were revised, but nothing seemed to work. Every time they tried to shift the narrative, a new controversy emerged. From awkward red carpet interviews to half-hearted apologies that felt more scripted than sincere, Rachel's public persona only seemed to dig a deeper hole. Worse still, the fallout wasn't limited to Disney or West Side Story. Other projects began collapsing in her orbit. Rumors swirled that brand deals were pulled, scheduled appearances were mysteriously canceled, collaborators became non-committal. Even her most vocal defenders seemed to go quiet, unwilling to get caught in the crossfire of her increasingly toxic brand. All of this might have been manageable, if not for the fact that Steven Spielberg was the one at the center of it all. Not because he made public accusations or tweeted about her behavior, but because he didn't. In Hollywood, silence from Spielberg carries more weight than 1,000 press releases. People noticed when he stopped praising her. They noticed when he declined to attend events where she was honored. And they really noticed when his office quietly backed out of supporting a project she was attached to. Insiders say Spielberg has always believed in giving young talent a chance, but once that trust is broken, he doesn't look back. In fact, sources claim he used the words career-ending mistake in reference to her recent behavior. Whether or not he actually said those exact words doesn't even matter anymore. The message has been received loud and clear. Spielberg has moved on. And Hollywood, ever the loyal follower of power and prestige, has followed suit. Some might argue this is a harsh reaction. Others say it's a long time coming. What's undeniable is the dramatic turn Rachel Zegler's career has taken in less than 2 years. From Spielberg's Golden Girl to Hollywood's biggest cautionary tale, her story is being dissected in real time. Every YouTube channel, every entertainment blog, every Twitter thread, everyone has a theory, an opinion, a headline, and nearly all of them ask the same question. How did it go so wrong, so fast? The answer, according to insiders, lies in a perfect storm of ego, inexperience, and industry politics. Rachel's talent was never the issue. It was her attitude, her decisions, and the timing. She rose quickly, too quickly perhaps, without the guidance or humility to navigate the spotlight. And when the backlash came, she reportedly doubled down instead of adapting. When Spielberg extended a hand of mentorship, she allegedly batted it away. And when she had the chance to show gratitude, she made it about herself. Now, her team is said to be scrambling behind the scenes, trying to salvage what's left of her brand. There's talk of rebranding, of laying low, of building a redemption arc. But redemption in Hollywood is rare, and even rarer when the one you've disrespected is one of its most revered icons. The irony is bitter. Rachel Zegler's story was once framed as a modern fairy tale, plucked from obscurity by one of the greatest directors of all time, thrust into the spotlight, given the keys to the kingdom. But just like in fairy tales, pride often comes before the fall. And this fall has been swift, severe, and, some say, final. If Spielberg really has closed the door, then for Rachel, there may be no going back. Not because he's vengeful or petty, but because he represents the kind of old-school Hollywood that still believes in respect, professionalism, and gratitude. And when those values are violated, consequences follow. In the end, whether or not Rachel Zegler will recover is a question no one can yet answer. Hollywood is unpredictable. Comebacks happen. But one thing's for certain, she will never be welcomed back by Steven Spielberg. And in this town, that's the kind of brutal threat that doesn't need to be spoken to be understood.